Gilbert Verdian, founder of Quant, CEO of Quant, has just made history, and a lot of people aren't talking about this. We're about to dive into history being made right before our eyes with Quant, QNT. And a lot of people aren't talking about this. It is what it is. This market has been in a rough spot for a lot of investors, retail investors especially. Whereas, the institutions, BlackRock, corporate enterprises, TradFi, they've been scooping up everything cheap while retail investors aren't paying attention. But there's founders that are still building, that have been building in this space for a very long time, and they're still pushing no matter what the market conditions are. And this is why, you pay attention to that. And I think you should show support and put your money where your mouth is. Invest in projects that are delivering no matter what the market conditions are. So Gilbert has just published here, a decade in the making, we have published an ISO standard for blockchain interoperability. Freaking amazing stuff, okay? This is a milestone I've been working towards since 2015. Remit was founded with the conviction that blockchains could transform financial services, but only if the industry solved interoperability and harmonized around global standards. Without that, blockchain would remain fragmented, siloed, and locked out of mainstream institutional adoption. In April 2016, we published what was the world's first proposal for a blockchain standard. Remit blog, you guys could obviously deep dive into the Remit blog as well. In 2016 was made. It was a bold move at the time when the industry was still largely focused on proofs of concept and competing protocols, narratives, not standardization. The idea was simple but ambitious. If blockchains were going to serve global markets, they needed a common framework that transcended any single protocol or vendor. Central to this thinking from the very beginning was the concept of multi-gateway architecture, leveraging the know-how of 20 years of experience in cybersecurity to frame the principle that interoperability shouldn't depend on a single bridge or point-to-point connection, but on a layered gateway model that could abstract away the differences between underlying DLTs and connect them through a common interface. This was the architectural foundation of what will become the overledger, right? And it was also the design philosophy we brought to the standards process. The belief that viable international standard for blockchain interoperability had to be protocol agnostic and gateway driven, enabling any DLT to communicate with any other DLT, any to any, and with existing networks without requiring those ledgers to change how they operate. The standard and the technology were born from that same insight. The same year, I worked closely with the team from Standard Australia. Okay, Standards Australia. Whoa. Standards Australia is an independent, not-for-profit organization that peak non-government standards body in Australia. Okay. And of course, Gilbert, so connected, working with all the industry leaders and all the legitimate companies out there. Fantastic stuff. So they had the foresight in 2015 to champion the initiative at the international level. Together we pushed for ICO to establish a dedicated technical committee for blockchain and not to be absorbed into an existing committee, but to stand on its own as a recognition that this technology warranted its own global standards program. The industry demand was there, the use cases were multiplied, and the fragmentation was becoming a real barrier. In September 2016, the new work item proposal received global approval, and ISO formally gave the green light to establish a new technical committee. TC307 blockchain and electronic distributed ledger technologies was born. Here we have the Remit link as well. The inaugural meeting was held in Sydney in April 2017, and from that moment the real work began. Look at this. It's fantastic stuff. ISO compliance from proposal to a new field of technical activity. Wow. So Gilbert was one of the people partly responsible for ISO compliance being built. Am I reading this right? Let me read it one more time. It's September 2016. The Newark item proposal received global approval, and ISO formally gave the green light to establish a new technical committee. Together, we pushed for ISO to establish a dedicated technical So, what the heck? So, what? So, the sector that I think will be the most massive is pretty much built by QNT. And Gilbert had a hand in that. Obviously, there's other, I'm sure there's other parties involved, but Gilbert and Standards Australia had a role in this since 2016. That is crazy. What? And from that moment, the real work began. That is crazy. As the standards works progressed internationally, the mission at Remit was evolving too. What started as an effort to use blockchains for financial services, solve interoperability, grew into something far larger. A full enterprise infrastructure platform for connecting any blockchain to any network. Remit became Quant, and we built the Overledger, the world's first blockchain operating system to deliver on that original vision. This is why I say people say in the comments that Quant is like the Microsoft of crypto. That is a great comparison. It's the operating system of crypto. The multi-gateway architecture that informed the standards thinking became the core of the Overledger's design, a technology that sits above all blockchains, providing institutions with a single integration point to access any DLT, any network, and any existing system. The interoperability challenge that drove the standards work was the same challenge we set out to solve commercially, and the two efforts reinforce each other throughout. For close to a decade since TFI's 307 formation, subject matters experts across the world have contributed their time and expertise to working at Group 7. Interoperability is the committee I cheer. Wow. This is a fantastic read. International standards are not built quickly. They are built through consensus, technical debate, and relentless refinement. Same methodology and rigor that created the internet through publishing standards. The result is published International Standard for Blockchain Interoperability, and this is the ISO standard that we see in crypto being built now. Look at this, ISO. Let's see. Let me just accept. ISO TS 23516 2026, Blockchain and Distributed Ledger Technology Interoperability Framework. So you see how there's ISO 20022, Quant, QNT, with their DLT abstraction have created their own ISO form of compliance as well. And this is, oh my gosh, this is crazy stuff. What? People aren't paying attention to, and this is from the official ISO.org, right? So you know it's legitimate. This is ISO.org. And I've been, saying in these videos, hey, ISO compliant crypto, and how they will be like, the projects that will be like one of the best performing sectors going into the future now that we have institutions, traditional finance come into crypto, right? ISO compliant cryptos, ISO 20022 standard XRP, XLM, XDC, Algorand, IOTA, HBAR, Quant, Cardano. And then they have the top ISO compliant examples. Interoperability is one of the main utilities for this. Interoperability platform connecting different blockchains through the Overledger. And Google knows this. Look at this. I just typed it in, ISO compliant crypto. And now we have, and they also, Quant QNT was also one of the builders of the whole ISO compliance in general, creating their own ISO compliance of the 23,516 ISO protocol. Look at this. A technical specification for a blockchain and distributed ledger technology interoperability framework. And this was just recently published after a decade. We're gonna have to do a full video on this. We're gonna have to do a full video on this, man. 5 minutes in, okay. A huge thank you to ISO standards as the international standards developing organization to the Team Standards Australia, who started the initiative in 2015 and worked tirelessly to get TC307 approved and established globally, and to every subject matter expert who contributed to Working Group 7 over the years. This would not exist without the collective effort from a blog post proposing the world's first blockchain standard in 2016 to a published ISO standard in 2026, and from Remit to Quant, from an architectural concept of multi-gateway interoperability to Overledger and a global standard. This is so bullish. Like, this is the most bullish news I've read for the project since I've covered the project, you know, on my alternate channel that I used to make. I used to have a channel that I spoke mostly about Casper, and every now and again I would make a quant video. This is the most bullish thing I've read about the project. And because the space is in such a terrible spot after, you know, the weakest bull run in history with no alt season, and the bull run ending on apathy, basically ending in a crap show instead of ending on euphoria. You can't even obviously, you know, people are excited and happy about this because this means moving forward, Quant is one of the most legitimate projects in the space. There's no question about that after this has been published. But people can't even revel in it because the market is so bad right now. You're not even, this would in you know, previous cycles, this would have made Quant go up 10x instantly, and I'd be wondering to myself, yo, why is Quant up 10x? I even get to making a video about it. And then I'd be making this video while it's up 10x. I'll be like, oh, now I know why it's up 10x. But unfortunately, I think we're not experiencing that now, but fortunately, I think we will. I think the space will change where, you know, projects that have their own ISO standard and helped in building the ISO standard in general, right? 2026 ISO standard that they've just created, a decade of work, will get their shine, will get the attention that they deserve, will finally get the investors they deserve, and price action will follow after all this building. Finally will start to follow, right? The price action will finally start to follow. So from a blog post proposing the world's first blockchain standard in 2016 to a published ISO standard remit from 2026, and now from Remit to Quant, architectural concept, multi-gateway interoperability to the Overledger and a global standard. This has been a decade-long journey of building both the standards and the technology to make blockchain interoperability a reality for institutions worldwide. There's still much more work ahead, I should say. More standards to develop, more to evolve, and more to build. But today, we make a significant milestone. That is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. Quad Crypto saying, congratulations, Gilbert. Bradley saying, oh boy, here we go. Over Oliver here, big milestone. Matayo, congrats. Thanks for bringing us along for the ride. Bill Tippett, congrats. Passing that 10 years ago, someone said they would create global ISO standard for blockchain, and now it is completed. Great work and achievement, Gilbert. I firmly believe we make the blockchain space a lot safer and more accessible when this becomes possible through this ISO standard. Knowledge up only. I saw that SATP is very close to our RFC state as well. Slowly but surely the foundation is built for a new internet on top of the current. Francesco, respect the work done over the years. Looking forward to this day. This can be spoken about as real internet of trust. Elias, your work is remarkable, Gilbert. I follow Quant very closely and must say, in this field seems as well thought out and mature as you've created. I reckon that in the history books of the distant future, you'll be referred to as a father of the digital age, rightfully so. Great takes, very great takes here. Tokenizer, congrats on the progress, Gilbert. Crazy to think that you guys work on ISO TC307, has been doing this for over a decade now, only began following in 2020, but the progress has been incredible to watch. Excited to see how this continues to develop and the growing role of quant as always. Invictus, congratulations on the success. Many more to come. As a proud token holder of this asset, I'm eagerly awaiting, looking forward to the future of QNT. We have more comments here. Look at the impressions this got, guys. 180k impressions. People paid attention. People are paying attention, man. I really didn't follow up on this, man. This is so massive. But again, because of the market conditions that we're in, you would think this would have made this made a massive move in the price action, but unfortunately, no retail investors are here, man. None. The only people here are people that have been in the space for a long time, or the people that have the institutions, right? Wall Street, etc. The people with the money that are scooping up all the majors at these cheap levels. That's who's in the market right now. Retail investors who've been here for a while, us, and the institutions that are scooping up all the majors for the lows. Maybe they're even scooping up quant for cheap. You never know. Because their buys, they have so much, they have such a long-term time horizon. They could make the slowest buys. They're not in a rush. And then years later, you know, that's when they send everything, man. It's crazy. So quant right now sitting just under $69 right now. $83.82 million in market cap. Holding this previous low, like I said, man. Quant, one of the strongest charts in the space, in my opinion. And the only thing that's missing here is a stronger market and more catalyst for quant, man. But it's in a good spot for upside, man. It really is. I think this right here, this price action over the past years, from 2022 to now, that's like 4 years of price action. 4 years, man, of consolidation, accumulation. I think when it does pop, man, you know, obviously there's no guarantee it pops, but when if it does, when it does, it's going to be a massive pop, man. It really will be, in my opinion. So as always, none of this is financial advice. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Join my Discord, follow me on X, and subscribe to my Clips channel. All linked in the description. Freaking ISOs. They've made an ISO standard decade. It's fantastic, man. I'll catch you guys in the next one.